Platinum, Executive Platinum, Platinum, Emerald, Sapphire.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Crew Travel right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I am your host, and I'm very pleased to welcome back Lee Harris of Blue Marine Travel. How are you, Lee?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you. Had a good week and yeah, ready to rock and roll for another one.
Rock and roll. Well, that sounds like your youngest daughter who is now rocking and rolling on a motorbike.
She is. Yeah, it is. I think it's probably aged me about 10 or 15 years, just one lesson. But yeah, she's decided she wants to take up motorbikes at a very young age, which is slightly scary to say the least.
Ah, I love that child. She's like literally a girl after my own heart. So.
Just no, it's too scary. Honestly, my heart is in my mouth constantly.
The joys of being a parent. The joys of being a parent.
It is indeed, yeah.
That's okay. You know what? This is nothing. Just wait until she actually grows up and still loves motorcycles and decides to go buy herself a Ducati or something and tour the world.
I know. If I can't see it, it's fine. It's just because I was watching. If I can't see what she's doing, it's fine. She can go what she likes. But just if I'm there, just yeah, no. Let's keep 2 feet on the ground.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see the stories come back from that. Right, travel is easing up, of course, around the world, which is very exciting. Every week, there's a little bit more room to breathe, of course. What's going on with the Spanish entry ban? We talked about that a few weeks ago.
We did, yeah. So the Spanish authorities have finally decided to permit entry for travellers from third countries who have not been vaccinated against COVID-19. That's if they test negative for the virus. The decision was taken by the Ministry of the Interior and became effective last Saturday, May the 21st. That was immediately after a new order was published. Now, according to the new order, travellers from countries outside the European Union can now enter Spain for non-essential purposes, given that they present a certificate of vaccination against COVID-19, a proof of recovery from the virus, or a negative COVID-19 test result. So far, only travellers vaccinated against COVID-19 have been eligible to enter Spain from third countries. The move means that now travellers from EU and non-EU countries will both be treated the same when it comes to the entry requirements. Now, in the new order published, the Ministry of Interior emphasises that in order for travellers to be eligible to enter Spain, both those from EU and non-EU countries, they must present one of the following documents. Now, a certificate of vaccination against COVID-19 that proves the traveller has taken the second or third booster dose in the last 9 months, or a certificate of recovery from the virus issued in the last 180 days. The certificate must have been issued at least 7 days after the confirmation of the infection with COVID-19, or a negative PCR test result carried out in 72 hours prior to departure to Spain, or a negative antigen test result carried out in the 24 hours prior to departure to Spain.
So there are still some
There's
hoops to jump through.
There are. I mean, there's going to be hoops to jump through for quite a while yet, but at least non-vaccinated travellers can now actually enter into Spain, provided that they can prove that they're negative with a PCR or an antigen test.
Yeah, that is good news. So moving on to Indonesia, there's news out of there.
Yeah, Indonesian citizens vaccinated against COVID-19 can travel to the European Union member countries without additional entry restrictions, as the EU now recognises vaccination certificates issued by Indonesian authorities as equivalent to those issued by the EU member states. The EU and Indonesia have agreed on the mutual recognition of their COVID vaccine certificates. Basically, this means that when entering the EU or travelling between EU member states, holders of the Indonesian vaccine certificate can use it under the same conditions as people holding the EU digital COVID certificate. It further points out that people holding the EU digital COVID certificate can now also enter Indonesia restriction-free.
Great news for Indonesian crew heading over to the Med for sure.
Exactly right. I mean, it's perfect timing, is it, with Spain now letting non-vaccinated in. Indonesian crew can come in with their vaccine certificate. So yeah, it's definitely looking a lot brighter this med season than last, that's for sure.
Nice. Now there is an update on the EU mask rule. I've got to laugh. I mean, the other day I got into a taxi and the taxi cab driver said to me, "Where's your mask? You've got to put your mask on." And I was like, this is so weird. I'm in a car in the back seat. My children go to school in a classroom with 35 students, and there's no masks required there. I just don't understand this whole craziness that is going on. And now the EU is, and then the EU stated that, airplanes, there was no need for masks anymore, but there are countries that are kicking back against that.
Yeah, there's quite a few actually. Yeah. So, like you say, we discussed it last week that the European Centre for Disease Control had called on all EU countries to relax rules on face masks to be worn on flights. Travellers, unfortunately, to Austria, Portugal, Cyprus, the Netherlands, Czech Republic, Malta, Estonia, Luxembourg, Germany, Greece, Lithuania, Italy, Latvia, and Spain, regardless if travelling internationally or domestically, will still remain subject to wearing a face mask while reaching their destination. Again, although the ECDC had recommended abolishing the mask requirement, which entered force May the 16th, the majority of EU countries have decided not to follow suit, imposing the requirement for another undetermined period. More specifically, an FFO2 or an N95 or a KN95 mask is generally required while reaching these destinations.
See, this is where the confusion comes in for everybody and has done so for the past 2.5 years, is that, there's this sweeping statement made around the world. Oh, there's no need to wear masks anymore. And then every single country decides a different rule, or every single airline decides a different rule, every single airport decides a different rule, and you still don't know which way to turn or which way is up. So I guess probably the best solution is just to say, I need to wear a mask everywhere I go. So I need to make sure that I've got a mask in my pocket or in my bag, so that if I do get into that situation, I can pull that mask out and stick it on.
Exactly right. Yeah, I mean, if you're traveling, definitely carry a face mask with you, because, like you say, there's so many countries. We're even talking about the EU bloc who, they've give guidance to say that you don't need to do it no more, and countries are just going off on their own saying, no, hang on a minute, no, we still want face masks in place. So for any crew who are traveling at the moment, irregardless of the advice that you're given, I would at least carry one with you, because you don't know when you'll come unstuck. Most airlines would probably have some there anyway, or they used to anyway. They may have taken away, but yeah, definitely carry one with you, just as a backup, just in case, because like you say, you never know when you might come unstuck.
Yeah, and that's another thing, is that, 6 months ago, every store had a stock of masks. And now, because I had to go and find, the first taxi cab driver actually allowed me to do it. And he said, but if we get pulled over by the police, you're going to get fined. And I said, okay, whatever. But on the way back, none of the stores were carrying it. I had to find a pharmacy in order to buy a mask, because they used to be available at every single shop, every single corner. Yeah. So now it is difficult to even find the mask. So it's definitely well worth making that effort, going to your closest shop, making sure you've got a pack of those masks tucked somewhere so that you don't get caught out, because it's not just as easy as popping to the corner shop anymore to get masks.
Yeah, and exactly like you say, even if you don't need it on on the aeroplane journey, when you touch down in the country, it may be like restaurants may need a face mask. You want to go to a concert or anything. There's lots of areas and ambiguity with regards to whether you're going to need one or not, because people can put in their own rules and restrictions. So, and restaurants can decide that they still want people to wear face masks. So, yeah, anybody who's traveling, definitely take a pack of face masks with you, because like we say, you never know if you could come unstuck or not.
Yeah. And there's news out of Japan.
Japan will ease its COVID-19 requirements for travellers next month, boosting optimism that international tourism will soon be able to resume. The Chief Cabinet Secretary said that from 1st of June, Japan will not require quarantine or airport testing for arrivals from countries in its low rate group. The low rate group actually includes the UK at the moment. They've not given a definitive list of who is going to be the low rate group at the moment, but apparently it's going to be 80% of the countries. So as soon as we find out exactly who they are, we'll let you know. Japan will also increase the number of international arrivals from the current limit of 10,000 to 20,000 a day from June the 1st. A pre-departure test will still be needed for travellers to enter the country, though.
Right. Well, that's good news. There are countries that are dropping entry testing. So even going further, there's countries that are saying you've got to wear masks on the airplane, and now there's countries that are dropping everything entirely.
Yep, exactly right. Yep. So vaccinated travellers entering Indonesia will no longer need to present a negative PCR or antigen test. The Indonesian president made the announcement last week as the country's COVID situation improves. Under Indonesia's previous rules, fully vaccinated international travelers had to show a negative COVID test result taken within 48 hours of entering the country. This requirement has now been completely dropped. However, unvaccinated visitors will still need to undergo a 5-day quarantine and take 2 PCR tests on arrival. In further news, the Vietnamese government have also announced that fully vaccinated arrivals will no longer have to undertake a pre-departure COVID test to enter their country also.
Right. And we have a crew question.
Here we have, we received a question this week. Unfortunately, there was no name on the email, and it was it's a very vague question. It was in relation to QR codes needed to enter the Philippines currently. It's basically all it said. So I have done some digging around, and I think I have an answer to what I perceive is the question. So bear with me. Currently, when traveling to the Philippines, all passengers must present the mandatory One Health Pass QR code. I'm guessing this is what the crew member was talking about. Now, to do this, all passengers must register at www.onehealthpass.com.ph. From there, you have to submit the confirmation QR code at check-in. Now, the One Health Pass QR code must be requested on the same day as the flight departs. This ensures its validity does not expire before arrival into the Philippines. Now, passengers must have the electronic copy ready with them before they check in. Now, failing to show a valid QR code on departure will lead to being denied boarding. So basically, the One Health Pass is a health declaration checklist, which, if not completed, will mean you will not be allowed to travel. I'm guessing this is what the person was talking about as they were talking about a QR code and not being able to travel. So I'm guessing this is what they're talking about. These are the steps you need to follow. If you do that, then you'll be okay on your flight to the Philippines.
And you will provide those links and such on your website.
We will do indeed. Yep, we'll make sure they're on the website.
Nice. Well, Lee, thank you. It seems like, every week we talk, you're just starting off our week with a little bit of ray of sunshine. So that's good.
I know. I've totally flipped it around, haven't I?
I know.
You
You used to be the harbinger of like doom and gloom, and now you're redeeming yourself. So that's good.
I am. Yeah. I mean, I was probably about 18 months of doom and gloom. So we've had a couple of months of sunshine. So let's try and keep it going for a little bit longer, eh? A little bit longer than an EU summer anyway.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you know what? I mean, the weather is getting absolutely amazing over on this side of the world. And the med season is well and truly kicking off. I mean, I don't know what the temperature got, but we're having like a massive heat wave in Spain right now. Absolutely phenomenal.
Nice. Yeah, see, we're now coming into winter here, so it's a bit dark and dingy and horrible. But you can't have it all the time, can you? I'm
crying for you. What is that? Oh, yeah, that's the world's tiniest violin playing just for you.
Exactly right.
You hear it?
Yeah. I've got 3 months of winter here. It's terrible.
3 months. Oh, my heart bleeds.
So
right, Lee. I have to mention that Crew Travel is brought to you weekly by Blue Marine Travel, who haven't lost a passenger since Lee Harris was born back in the late 1900s. And their people move people.
We certainly do.
And I hope you continue to move people for years to come.
So do I. Yeah, so do I.
Or at least until you retire.
Yeah. Until my mortgage is paid off, at least.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's like at least 40 years away, right?
Yeah, at least.
Considering the rate of inflation lately, it might actually be 40 years, to be honest.
It probably will. Yeah. Probably till like the day I drop.
You'll be 90 years old, toothless, sightless, deaf, still
doing this interview.
Yeah. Yeah, which means I'll be like 92 or something. That'll be great. Yeah. People will tune in for that, I'm sure.
I'm sure they will.
Oh, yeah. Just for the laugh, not for the information, for the laugh.
Yeah.
Right. Lee, as always, it's been a pleasure, and we will see you next week.
Indeed. Thanks ever so much for having me.
You've been watching another edition of Crew Travel right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I have been your host. We'll see you again next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we're boarding passengers seated in zones E.